How can creators make a mindset change advantageous? You illustrators and designers will be surprised by how a small change in your thinking opens up semiotics to you. Once you realise that semiotic signs are not tangible signage, then you will design and or illustrate with a fresh visual communication perspective. Let us now explore how audience perception helps you to utilise many levels for visually encoding meaning. Perception leads to interpretation, which leads to understanding. So in our third episode of Semiosis 101 Season 4, we will make small tweaks in your own perception on how you semiotically ideate. Semiosis 101 is also taking a semantic turn in how I explain Peirce's semiotic sign action to designers and illustrators. It is not enough to develop and sketch potential ideas to answer a client's brief without considering effective visual meaning bearing. In his 2005 design, The Semantic Turn, Klaus Krippendorf describes meaning and perception succinctly. Meaning, on a most basic level, meaning restores perceived differences between what is sensed and what seems to be happening. Perception. Meaning arises in the awareness of the possibility of different ways of seeing. Understanding our audience's perceptions is crucial in semiotically crafting effective visual communication. For our audience to perceive the intended meanings visually communicated in our work, we need to semiotically facilitate this. In terms of applied semiotic sign action, we craft our visual language from familiar qualities which possibly could indicate aspects of this. Whatever you need here. It is our audience, as interpreters of meaning, who will deem what is familiar to possibly indicate something more complex. Let me give a quick and broad cultural example. Whiteness as a quality. In Western cultures, we can interpret white as indicating purity, amongst other things. In Eastern cultures, white is perceived to be a colour for mourning. It still remains white. Audiences learn that one quality can be X, while for others it could mean Z. Culturally, our audience's lived experiences, Lifeworlds, can be very helpful to you creatives. Lifeworlds is a phenomenological term, and Peirce's semiosis is structured within a phenomenological understanding of human perceptions. Peirce's semiotic sign action is predicated on the phenomena of interpreting meaning from our crafted representations. We call these encoded semiotic signs. The small perspective change you creatives are making right now is in the realization that beyond any design or illustration aesthetic, you hold semiotic power in your creative hands. You may decide to design or illustrate A, B, or C because you personally like that. However, as creatives, you are always creating outcomes for other people, not yourself. Other people have experiences and references they draw on. In the last episode, I asked, how would you represent a dog if the audience has never experienced a dog? Let us now semiotically explore how. Okay, I am labouring the idea of dog here for obvious reasons. You can substitute dog for anything you wish. The following argument and explanation will remain relevant. Our audience has no experience of an existential thing as a dog. So there is no point in focusing your efforts in visualising a vast array of breeds to the audience. They will not understand. What in their lived experiences will help them to gain knowledge of the dog? What qualities does a dog have that our audience are familiar with? We can semiotically use these to facilitate their understanding towards interpreting dog. A dog has a head, a body, 4 legs and a tail. These qualities in a familiar configuration can trigger our audience's perception. They can interpret the shape as a possible animal of some sort. We are semiotically mediating audience interpretations to the concept we are visually communicating. If the audience can only perceive a pattern of qualities, we interpret dog but they do not, then something is still being communicated. They can still be mediated to interpret a lesser meaning of maybe animal or mammal or beast. From our selection of qualities known to our audience, e.g. a leg shape, a head shape, etc., we help our audience to immediately perceive things that are already familiar to them. We mediate our audience to suggest further meaning which they can confidently interpret. A dog is an animal. but it will semiotically take another final step to learn a new thing, such as a dog. But we are human. We learn new things all the time. Semiosis is built on perception to work. Creators focus on the representation of the concept. That is what you illustrate or design. You use various elements to construct a visual language to convey meaning. You visually communicate something to someone. This is what you do and what you have always done as designers and illustrators. If we want to, we can describe this as the signifier signified from Saussure's semiology. What is visualized is indicating what is meant. In semiosis, this is only 2/3 of pragmatic semiotic sign action. Your audience contributes to the final third of semiosis' power. What they perceive and interpret is a direct result of what the creative has created and what the audience already has experience of. To facilitate a target audience to understand what they see, the creative semiotically helps the audience to form their interpretations. The phenomenon of human perception is subconscious. Peirce describes 3 phenomenological states in which the audience, creative and semiosis builds meaning within. The states of firstness, secondness and thirdness. These 3 states help to structure how semiotic sign action grows in power from weak semiotic quality to visually communicate more complex meaning. Check out the YouTube playlist for more on these states and 10 semiotic sign classes. Or if you want to read more about this, then check out the Semiosis 101 semiotic resource on Ghost. Link is below in the description. With the perception and the lived experiences of our target audience, interpretation of the representation of the concept can be made. But is it visually communicating what is intended? Again, Peirce's semiosis offers frameworks to support the crafting of the creative's aesthetic to connect with the audience. A simple mark or a brushstroke to one person may suggest one thing, while another person may not get it. A brushstroke could suggest a tree, hair, the wind, texture, etc. This depends on the audience. After all, it is just a brushstroke, a mark. How can a simple mark suggest all those things to someone? In the context the brushstroke or mark is seen in, it shares familiar but weak qualities with something known to the audience. If the mark puts in the mind of the audience any of the suggested things, it is because the audience makes a weak connection based on their experience of things. Now, jumping to a well-known swoosh shape, the audience can agree that that shape now means Nike. How did interpretation jump so abruptly? I have just summed up the simple to complex power of semiosis with just shapes. The advantageous shift in a creative's mindset is when you realise that a simple mark, stroke, shape, etc. is a semiotic building block. Meaning is embodied and emerges from the interface between representation and interpretation. This facilitates audience perception to the intended concept. The small perspective change you can make comes from this pragmatic, experiential take on visual communicating. An applied framework of semiosis can augment and enhance any creative's tacit mindset to effectively improve visual communication. Peirce's philosophy offers you creators a practical way to apply semiotics, but as his writing is obtuse, it is not immediately clear how to. That is why Semiosis 101 exists. So let us conclude on which perspective change you creators can make today. Peirce writes quite obtusely on quality sign this, representation that, and about states of firstness, secondness and thirdness. However, his triadic structure is beneficial to you. At a macro scale, you creators are happy with the triad of client, creative, audience. At a semiotic micro scale, the concept, representation, interpretation, determination flow is the power. Semiosis does not go around the triad once and ends. Semiosis, once triggered, is perpetual. A successful interpretation brings the audience to the intended concept, then the semiotic determination flow goes around again. This is how weak qualities lead to complex semiotic meaning. Subscribe to Semiosis 101 to be notified when the next episode on this is published. Semiosis 101 producers on Patreon can watch all episodes months ahead of YouTube, plus other exclusive comments and a Semiosis 101 publisher credit. Hint, hint. See you all again for the next Semiosis 101 episode. Semiosis 101 is unique in helping illustrators and designers to semiotically enhance your visual communication skills. One designer-centric semiotic video at a time. Remember to hit subscribe to be notified when the next episode hits.